Imagine for a second, right, that you are just standing on a concrete platform.
Okay.
You're just waiting for a train. But I want you to imagine a train that doesn't just move people from point A to point B.
Right, like standard transit.
Exactly. Instead, imagine a piece of machinery so incredibly powerful that as it rolls down the tracks, it literally erases and redraws the map of the city around it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like with every single stop, it dictates who gets to live where, what kind of jobs are available, and, exactly how much the homes on the surrounding streets are going to cost.
I mean, that sounds like science fiction.
It really does. It sounds like some kind of, I don't know, massive terraforming machine from a movie.
It does, but it's actually it's the most fundamental reality of modern urban planning.
Right.
Because when we think about major transit infrastructure, like a new subway or a light rail, we have this deeply ingrained habit of only looking at the schedule.
Yeah, we just check the arrival times.
Exactly, we figure out our commute. But we rarely look at the absolute tidal wave of concrete, capital, and, profound social change that follows right behind the locomotive.
Which is exactly our mission for this deep dive today.
Yes.
We are exploring how a single new transit line can fundamentally mutate entire neighborhoods.
It's a huge topic.
It is. And our guiding material today is a truly fascinating joint report. It was published by wikiresidence.ca and infodrone.ca.
Right.
And they have been meticulously mapping out the footprint of the new REM, the Réseau Express Metropolitan Light Rail Network in Montreal.
Yeah, specifically looking at its path along the city's former Du Montagne commuter line.
Exactly. And the data they've uncovered is just, well, it's staggering.
It really is a remarkable piece of research
Mm.
because the report analyzes what they call the non-transit intake.
Lots of stuff outside the train.
Exactly. They focused on 4 specific stations in the central northwest sector of Montreal. So that's Bois-Franc, Côte-de-Liesse, Ruisseau and Montpellier. And the big picture takeaway here is that you don't just get one uniform type of city building when you lay down new tracks.
You mean it's not a one-size-fits-all thing?
Not at all. This deep dive is going to reveal 2 completely different realities happening at the exact same time.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
On one hand, you have stations acting as absolute blank slates for mega developments.
Right.
And then literally just down the line, you have stations that are quietly, almost invisibly, upgrading existing communities without tearing them down.
Wow. Okay, so to really understand how a train reshapes a city, I think we have to start with the areas experiencing the most violent, dramatic transformations.
The blank slates.
Yeah. We are talking about the fringe zones.
Yeah.
These are the areas where developers essentially have a massive empty canvas to play on.
Right.
And the poster child for this in the report is the Bois-Franc station. The report actually positions this spot as the new gateway to the borough of Saint Laurent.
It's a huge shift.
It is. We are talking about an area morphing like practically overnight from sprawling industrial zones and sleepy bungalows into a hyperdense transit-oriented development, or what city planners call a TOD.
We really need to put the sheer scale of this Bois-Franc transit powerhouse into perspective, though.
Please do, because the numbers are wild.
They are, because it is staggering.
Yeah.
When this branch opens in November 2025, it isn't just another stop on a map.
Right.
It is the central pivot of the entire line. We are talking about fully automated 4-car trains carrying 600 passengers, pulling into the station every 5 minutes during peak hours.
Every 5 minutes. That is crazy.
And the kicker, it zips those passengers directly to downtown Central Station in just 16 minutes.
16 minutes. I mean, that is the time it takes to drink half a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
To get from the deep suburbs to the absolute center of downtown Montreal in 16 minutes, it completely changes the mental geography of a commuter.
It really does.
It just erases the traditional boundary between the city and the suburb.
It collapses the distance between the periphery and the core entirely.
Wow.
And because of that speed, the Bois-Franc hub is designed to absorb a massive chunk of the network's predicted peak period users. The report says 42,120 users.
That is a small city moving through one station.
Exactly. It acts as an intermodal link, meaning it connects the REM train with Montreal's local STM bus network, as well as the future rapid transit bus corridor running along Henri Bourassa Boulevard.
So it's a massive funnel for human movement.
Right. But all those thousands of people flowing through, well, they need jobs and services.
Which brings us to the station just one stop over, Côte-de-Liesse.
Yes. the industrial mutation.
Right, the report details how Côte-de-Liesse is leveraging its junction with the Mascouche commuter train line.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike Bois-Franc, this station is surrounded by underutilized, landlocked industrial land.
Heavy industry, yeah.
And the arrival of the REM is forcing the conversion of that heavy industrial land into mixed-use zones. It is entirely changing the labor pool.
Oh, completely.
Suddenly, you have high-end service companies and office workers who can move into a space that, for decades, was strictly heavy industry, manufacturing, and logistics.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this, because reading through this section of the report, it genuinely feels like someone is playing a city-building video game.
I know exactly what you mean.
You know, you have your mouse cursor, and you just plop down a multi-million-dollar transit hub on a patch of empty industrial land, and you just watch as skyscrapers, glass condos, and office parks instantly sprout up out of the dirt.
Yeah, like SimCity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here is where I struggle with this vision. If you drop massive condo complexes into a quiet, sleepy bungalow neighborhood near Bois-Franc, don't you risk literally slicing the existing community in half?
That is a very valid concern.
I mean, a modern light rail isn't an old-school streetcar you can just casually walk across. It's a high-speed, high-frequency train. It basically acts like a concrete river running through people's backyards.
What's fascinating here is that the local politicians are painfully aware of that exact threat.
No, really?
Yeah, it is a very real physical barrier. The report highlights that local connectivity is, in fact, the major challenge for Bois-Franc.
Okay.
It is such a pressing issue that the mayor of Saint-Laurent specifically demanded a fare-free crossing over the REM tracks.
Oh, wow.
They recognize that without a massive pedestrian bridge or tunnel that anyone could use, without having to pay a train fare just to get to the other side.
Right, just to visit your neighbor.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Without that, the neighborhood would be physically and socially segregated by this concrete river.
A fare-free crossing, just to keep the neighborhood stitched together. That really highlights the physical violence of dropping major infrastructure into an area.
It does. And if we want to understand the underlying mechanics, like why Bois-Franc and Côte-de-Liesse dominate the impact charts in this report, it comes down to the nature of the land itself.
The fringe spaces.
Yes. They are fringe zones. They have large, vacant, or underutilized commercial spaces. For developers and city planners, it is infinitely easier to launch a vast, neighborhood-altering real estate project on a single, massive, empty industrial lot than it is to buy up 50 individual family homes one by one.
Well, that makes total sense.
That availability of wide-open fringe space is the exact mechanism that allows a neighborhood's entire social composition to be flipped in just a few short years.
Which brings us perfectly to the people and the money.
Yes.
Because to build on that sheer scale at Bois-Franc and Côte-de-Liesse, we have to look at how a train station actually triggers billions of dollars in real estate investment.
It's massive.
It isn't just about pouring concrete and laying steel.
Yeah.
It is an economic gravity well.
A very powerful gravity well. The transit-oriented development plans for the Bois-Franc area ultimately call for 7,700 new housing units.
That is insane.
Try to visualize that. That is an entirely new town. Thousands of pitch-ins, thousands of cars, thousands of people just being dropped into an existing borough.
And the specific mega projects the report outlines to hit that number are wild.
Oh.
You have Montoni's project called Chapitre Bois-Franc. We aren't just talking about a basic apartment block. It is a $100 million investment.
Incredible.
It's a 13-story tower with 300 rental units featuring massive green roofs, with gradual delivery scheduled for 2026 and 2027.
Right.
Then you have JDCO's Equinox project, delivering its first phase in 2026. They are pushing sustainable building concepts, urban agriculture, and get this, they are building 340 bike spaces into the complex.
That's a huge amenity.
And on top of that, Groupe Montclair is building Aura sur le Square, which focuses on condos and townhouses around a central square designed specifically for intergenerational mixing.
When you look at those architectural choices, it represents a complete financial and demographic shift.
How so?
The area is evolving from a standard, car-dependent suburban transit zone into a massive service and lifestyle hub.
Right.
Because to support those 7,700 new housing units, the plans also include 39,600 square meters of new office space and 37,700 square meters of retail space. They aren't just building bedrooms for people who commute to work downtown. They are literally building a secondary downtown from scratch.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because when you look at what is actually being built, the green roofs, the urban agriculture, the 340 bike spaces,
Right.
we are essentially using luxury, eco-friendly amenities to attract a very specific demographic.
Absolutely.
So we're basically talking about a new neighborhood where the primary exports are going to be tech startups, locally grown kale, and people walking around in spandex carrying bike helmets.
That's a pretty accurate picture, yeah.
But I want to push back on the financial model the report outlines, because something doesn't add up for me.
Okay, what is it?
The report notes that developers are paying massive development fees to build here. For a 250-unit project in the broader sector, the local fees are roughly $36,200 per unit, and about $14,100 of that goes specifically to fund the REM infrastructure.
Right, the transit fee.
Exactly.
Right.
That fee amounts to roughly 7% of a condo's total price. So if a condo is $500,000, that's $35,000.
Oh.
If developers are getting hit with a 7% tax, essentially just for the privilege of building near the train, aren't they just passing that cost directly onto the buyer, thereby fueling the exact gentrification the report is warning us about?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are touching on the core tension of modern infrastructure funding. It's a concept urban planners call value capture.
Value cap.
Yeah. The mechanism works like this. The public sector spends billions of taxpayer dollars to build a high-speed train line.
Right.
That train line instantly makes the privately owned land around the stations infinitely more valuable. The 7% development fee is the public's way of clawing back some of that newly created wealth to pay for the train itself.
Wait, I love that concept. It's like the city built the hottest new nightclub in town, the transit line, and the developers are more than happy to pay a massive cover charge at the door because they know they can turn around and charge premium, sky-high prices for the VIP booths inside.
That is a perfect analogy. And to your point about gentrification, yes, that cover charge is ultimately absorbed by the end buyer.
Yeah.
The report is brutally clear that gentrification is palpable in this area. It is completely changing the commercial dynamics of Henri Bourassa Boulevard.
So the mom and pop shops are getting pushed out.
The older shops are naturally transitioning or being replaced by boutique cafes and services that cater to the young professionals moving into these new eco-towers.
Right.
But the economic argument from the city's perspective is that the REM infrastructure creates such massive real estate appreciation, like a drastic reduction in commute times and a tangible increase in quality of life.
Right. People are willing to pay for that.
Exactly. The market willingly absorbs that 7% premium. As the report perfectly phrases it, Bois-Franc is essentially functioning as the seller of residential prestige for the entire sector.
It is the shiny new object that justifies the massive price tag.
You think so?
But tearing up industrial fringes to build shiny new eco-towers is one thing. What happens when this high-speed, high-frequency train barrels through neighborhoods that have already been established for decades?
That is the other side of the coin.
Right. Places where people already live, where the grid is set, and the community has a deep history. This brings us to the second half of the report's analysis, the stations at Ruisseau and Montpellier.
This is where the narrative completely shifts from massive disruption to careful integration. Let's look at Ruisseau.
Okay.
It is located right in the middle of the established Ahuntsic-Cartierville neighborhood. By 2026, when it is fully operational, its primary function isn't to build a brand new city from scratch, but to serve the existing institutions.
Interesting.
Yeah, it fully optimizes student connectivity to major pre-university colleges, specifically to Stade Saint Laurent and Vanier College, using dedicated shuttle networks. It's about moving students efficiently through an area that already exists.
So instead of bulldozing blocks for 13-story megatowers, the report notes that Ruisseau is seeing what urban planners call soft densification.
Exactly.
You have developers like Mondev doing infill projects. They are taking old, underutilized dental offices or small commercial buildings and converting them into residential lofts.
Right, much smaller scale.
It is a much more surgical approach. It adds people to the neighborhood without casting massive shadows or changing the skyline. And it is driving foot traffic and retail revitalization along Henri Bourassa West.
And there's another crucial point here.
What's that?
The city of Montreal is stepping in. They aren't just letting the free market run wild. They are securing land in the sector specifically to build 72 units of social housing by fall 2026.
Which acts as a direct, intentional counterbalance to the luxury gentrification we see just up the tracks at Bois-Franc.
Exactly. And then finally, you have Montpellier.
The discrete station.
Yes, the report explicitly calls Montpellier the most discrete station of the four. It is entirely focused on stability. The main impact here is simply improving the quality of life for the people who already live there by giving them downtown access in under 15 minutes.
And the physical changes are incredibly subtle compared to the rest of the line. Arriving in spring and summer of 2025, Montpellier is just getting modern street furniture and improved landscaping to help blend the station into the neighborhood.
Very low impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The housing development is strictly limited to small 10 to 30 unit complexes that are replacing old, run-down bungalows right along the rail corridor. And the demographic shift here is fascinating.
It really is.
The report points out that Montpellier is spawning a highly specific micro-market. You have tech, pharma, and aerospace workers choosing to rent or buy here. Why? Because they specifically want a calm residential vibe with a silent backyard, as opposed to the quote-unquote effervescence and chaos of the mega developments at Bois-Franc.
Right.
And by 2026, the median condo prices in this little enclave are projected to hover between $420,000 and $500,000.
That's just substantial.
It is. So what does this all mean? If I look at the two halves of this REM line,
Yeah.
Bois-Franc is like bulldozing an entire city block to build a state-of-the-art mega mall.
Yeah.
It is a total reset of the earth. While Ruisseau and Montpellier are like carefully renovating a heritage home, you are updating the plumbing, you are fixing the roof, but you are keeping the original floor plan intact.
That's a great way to look at it.
But I have to ask, if Montpellier is just 15 minutes from downtown, which makes it absolute prime real estate, why wouldn't developers just buy up those old bungalows, tear them all down, and build 13-story towers there too? Why on earth would a developer settle for building a 10-unit building when they could build 300 units and make 30 times the profit?
It is a phenomenal question, and the answer comes down to a mix of zoning friction and market psychology.
Okay, lay it on me.
First, let's look at the physical reality. Montpellier and Ruisseau simply lack the large, contiguous, vacant lots that exist out in the industrial fringes. If a developer wants to build a mega tower in Montpellier, they would have to assemble the land by buying out 50 individual, stubborn homeowners.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
It is incredibly expensive and time-consuming compared to just buying one abandoned warehouse from a single holding company at Côte-de-Liesse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But even more importantly, the market demand in Montpellier is entirely driven by its calm, stable enclave atmosphere.
Right, the vibe.
Yes. The aerospace and tech workers who are willing to pay $500,000 for a condo there are doing so specifically to escape the concrete mega towers.
Oh.
If developers were allowed to destroy that human-scale residential fabric with heavy densification, they would essentially ruin the very amenity that is driving those $500,000 valuations in the first place.
Wow.
It is a perfect example of transit having to adapt to human-scale needs rather than forcing a one-size-fits-all density model on every single stop.
That makes so much sense. It is a highly delicate ecosystem. You change the physical density too much, and you completely destroy the psychological appeal of the neighborhood.
Exactly.
The value isn't just in the train. The value is in the quietness of the street the train takes you to.
You've hit the nail on the head. The real estate market recognizes that diversity of lifestyle is a commodity.
Right.
A healthy city needs the hyper-dense, vibrant hubs like Bois-Franc for the young professionals who want to walk out of their lobby directly into a bustling retail square to buy their locally grown kale.
Yeah, the spandex crowd.
Right. But a healthy city also needs the quiet, tree-lined streets of Montpellier for the established workers who want a hyper-fast commute but a silent backyard where their kids can play.
That balance is key.
The transit line, surprisingly, doesn't destroy that diversity. If it is managed correctly by city planners, it actually enhances it.
Which really synthesizes this entire journey for us. What we have learned from diving into this report is that a transit line like the REM isn't a single monolithic story.
No, it's not.
At Bois-Franc and Côte-de-Liesse, it is an absolute catalyst for massive disruptive city building. It is swapping out heavy industrial zones and abandoned warehouses for 7 to 700 unit TODs, sprawling green roofs, and entirely new service economies.
Right?
But just a few stops down the exact same track, at Ruisseau and Montpellier, that exact same train acts as a subtle, almost protective neighborhood upgrade.
It really does.
It enhances student commutes, preserves quiet enclaves for aerospace workers, and fosters soft densification without tearing up the social fabric of the streets.
This raises an important question for you listening to this right now.
Yeah.
The next time your city announces a new transit stop, a new subway extension, or a rapid bus corridor, I challenge you to not just look at the route map and the train schedule.
Look beyond the train.
Exactly. Take a look at the physical land surrounding that proposed stop. Are there empty warehouses and massive vacant lots? Or is it tightly packed with historical homes and small businesses?
It's a huge tell.
Because the nature of that land will tell you everything you need to know about whether your neighborhood is about to get a gentle facelift or an entirely new skyline.
It really is the ultimate leading indicator for urban change.
Mm.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. We started this deep dive by imagining a train that redraws the map of a city.
Right.
But if a single transit line has the power to dictate the exact demographics, the labor pools, and the social classes of different neighborhoods.
Which we've seen it does.
Yeah, from tech renters seeking a quiet enclave to young professionals seeking luxury amenities and bike racks.
Yeah.
Then when we go to the ballot box and vote for or against public transit infrastructure, are we actually just voting on trains? Or are we really casting a vote on who our future neighbors will be?
That is a fascinating way to look at it.
It's definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.